think that I can get off my depression medication and continue to make the choices that I need to make to be healthy. And so I prayed about it. I talked to my husband about it. And, we both agreed that I could give it a shot.
Felicia, how did you find carnivore?
Okay. So I found carnivore through a friend, and she's a really close friend of mine. And at first, so she told me about it probably at the very beginning of this year. Let's just say January. I'm not 100% on that, but let's just say actually it was probably right before. It was probably the end of last year. But she really started talking about it a lot starting the beginning of the year. And I respect my friend a lot. And I wanted her to do what was best for her because she has some health issues and I love her and I want her to be healthy. And so I was just saying, whatever, if this works for you, then you need to do it. And so I was just kind of her person that she came to talk about things like when other people would comment negatively, she would come to me and kind of share that with me, or she would just tell me her struggles, throughout the weeks, or tell me some of her things that had improved, or I was just kind of her person that she came to. And it sounded really good for her. But I did not think that I could do that because a lot of reasons, but really the main reason is because I've always struggled with my health, as in like food, what I eat and what I don't eat, because of how I grew up. I grew up in a traumatic household, and I have memories of traumatic events, but I actually don't have memories of eating and food and other things like that. And so I'm not sure exactly what my trauma is with food, but if I try to restrict myself in any way, stuff like that, I become very, very anxious, and then it just kind of snowballs into like kind of a trauma response. And so while I was hopeful for her and I wanted the very best for her, I just didn't think that was something that I could really do because of that reason, and because I've also actually been a small meat eater. Like I was never a vegetarian, never anything like that, but if you give me like a bowl of meat and rice and vegetables, I would have like rice and vegetables and then a little bit of meat in my bowl. Like that's just kind of what I liked. And so for those two reasons, I just was like, I don't think that'll ever work for me. And so I don't know, I kept being there for her, listening to her. And then I probably in August, it took me until August, I started really thinking about it. And also, kind of leading up to that, my mental health, I was doing a lot better than I had been previously. I was on medication, depression medication, and I was doing things to help myself as best I could to not be as depressed. And so I was doing a little bit better mentally. And so in watching her and listening, I was like, okay, maybe I could try it. Maybe even if I don't succeed, I could always try something. And so my husband and I actually went on a little anniversary beach time together, and I was telling him about it. And he's always been able to be very disciplined if he wants to be, um, especially when it comes to health and food. And that's always been like I'm really happy for him, but I wish I could be that way kind of thing. So I was like telling him about it, and he is a researcher in nature. And so he started really looking into it. He started watching lots of videos, of course. And I was watching lots of videos. My friend had told me about a few people to watch. And so I just, we were kind of doing that. And my husband's very supportive, and he wants good things for me and my health as well. And so he was like, if you do it, I will try and do it with you. Basically, I can commit, because I was like, what if I just committed to 30 days? Because, you hear people say that 30 days. And he was like, I can do that. And I knew he could. Um, and so I was like, okay, after this, we'll get back. And then we had another vacation planned with some friends right after, like the week after. And, but then after that, we'll start. And so we did. We started the week after that, after we got back and went on that next little vacation. And I did good
Sorry,
at the very
this
beginning.
is September time?
Yes, September. Well, yeah, probably leading into October by this point, because it was towards the end of September when we went, so probably leading into October. And I started out really decent. Like, I was like, okay. And then you have issues when you first start. At least I did. I had like really bad diarrhea. And so it was hard, but I just like kind of kept doing it and kept watching videos to like help myself be like, okay, this is somewhat normal, people say, and just trying. And I don't honestly know what got me off that very first beginning, but somehow I like just transitioned to not doing it. Like, it was not like this decision I made. It was more like, I tried something, and then, like normal, if I have something and then I can just have something else and have something else. And so that was kind of what happened to me. It was kind of like back and forth after that. It was like a long, very beginning, and then I got off, and then it was like, I'm on for a few days, I'm off for a few days. And that happened
So
a
it was just
handful of
this yo-yo
times.
back and forward between carnivore and kind of regular diet.
Yes. And I was still primarily making better choices. I wasn't eating just desserts and sugary things. Um, it was just more convenient if I wasn't planned, if I didn't have food planned, and like it kind of goes back to my trauma. So then I feel like I can't eat anything, and then I get something, and then so then I just make a quick decision, and that's kind of what it was, for probably a handful of times. And then, but every time that I would get back on, I would go through diarrhea again. Um, and it was like, it was weird. My husband, when he did it, if he would kind of have that diarrhea if he was eating the bad things. And if he's like went and if he's eating the good things, he didn't. But it was the opposite for me. When I would start eating the good things, that's when I would have diarrhea. And so I knew every single time I started, it was in my brain. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to go through this again. And so I would do that. And I would watch my friend, and she was way more disciplined than I was. And a part of me was kind of like, see, I knew that I couldn't do this. This always happens. With my husband, he's more disciplined than I am. She's more disciplined than I am. And so then I kind of started a YouTube channel. And it was more just an accountability for me. And also just like in hopes that if I ever said anything on there that helped anyone in any way possible, that, it could be my accountable, it could be help me, and then maybe it could help somebody else. And so I started that, and that kind of gave me a little bit of momentum. And then I crashed again. And then it was like, I don't want to do YouTube. I don't want to put videos out because like I'm not being consistent. And through all this, like I'm also in prayer. That's like my life. And so like I can't do carnivore without God. Like that just doesn't work. And so I, was in a lot of prayer, and my friend also believes in God. And so we pray a lot and talk about God a lot. And we were just trying to implement that more in our life, more about God and more about other people. And so in doing that, my mind shifted kind of, because it was more like, okay, I can try this. If I mess up, then I just go again. And so like that's kind of what happened is I would just like go again and I would go again. And then I started an Instagram. There's not much on it, but every once in a while I'll post a picture on there. And it's really more in hopes that I can see what other people post. I can hear other people's videos and also just be a little bit different maybe because I'm not the typical, oh, I started on carnivore and like I got through that little thing. And then after that, there was no going back because it's so amazing. Why would I go back? And I wish I was that way. But up until this point, I haven't been that way. And that's okay because I've been consistent enough to keep coming back. And I've been consistent enough to lose. Like I was around 215 pounds when I started, and now I'm at 197. And I'm not like, I haven't lost weight in years and years. I have 3 children, and at least the last 2 children, even before that, I have not lost weight. I've only gained every single time I go to the doctor. Like it doesn't matter what I do, what I try, what I don't. The scale would only go up. It wouldn't go up like 20 pounds each time, but a few pounds each time I got to the doctor. And so when I went to the doctor and I saw that it went down for the first time, I was like, it really impacted me because that hadn't happened to me in years. And I honestly had given up hope almost in that. Not all the way because like I said, I believe in God, and so I never can be out of hope. Like I can be at the very lowest and still like have some hope because I have a relationship with God and he is my hope. But outside of that little bit of hope that I kept holding on to, I truly did not think that I would ever lose weight. And so I saw that and it was like, wow, okay, this is something different. Like it's impacting my body differently than anything ever has. And so it was something that also kept me going back. And then I was on a blood pressure medication, just a low dose of blood pressure medication, because I was getting these really bad migraines, like horrendous, and they would just stay for days. And I never had them before. And at first, they thought, oh, it's hormones because, like I said, I had a couple kids like back to back recently. And so I went to the women's doctor and did things there. I went to a regular, like nothing was, they were not figuring it out. Finally, I went to a different provider and they were like, how long has your blood pressure, I think it's the bottom number. I'm not a big health person. So how long has that been like elevated? And I said, well, I mean, that's been like that, I don't know, for months now, I guess. And I guess they said that they're more concerned about the bottom number on blood pressure. I don't know much about it, but they said, well, I want to give you this low dose of blood pressure medication and let's just see what it does. So I started taking it and my migraines just went away. And so I kept taking the blood pressure medication because I couldn't function with the migraines. And so I had asked the doctor whenever she gave me the blood pressure medication, is it possible that I can somehow come off of this medicine at some point? Because I'm not a big medicine taker if I don't have to take it. And she said, well, you would have to lose, kind of a significant amount of weight, I think, to be able to come off the medication. But it's possible if you lose weight. And it kind of like disheartened me at first because I haven't been able to lose weight in years and years and years. But then I was like, okay, well, I have an opportunity still. Like she says, I can come off the medicine if I lose weight. And so I want to be able to do that. And so I can't remember the app. She recommended some app, My Fitness Plan maybe, or something where you track all your food and all this stuff. I don't track food. I can't do it. I mean, I'm not saying I can't because like it's really, you put something in a phone or something, but I'm just saying that I will not do it consistently whatsoever. And so I was like, yeah, that's not going to work for me. But I was like, okay, thanks for the app. And so yeah, I was on this blood pressure medication that I had to take every day. I was on some depression medication, and I was at the highest dose possible for that depression medication. And I was also taking a sleeping medication. So basically, it wasn't to help me fall asleep, but it was help me stay asleep because I've always had sleeping problems, um, also trauma related, and then maybe whatever else related. But so I was on those three medications. So I lost, let's just say 15 pounds. I lost 15 pounds, and I was like, I wonder, since I've lost these 15 pounds or whatever, if I could get off my blood pressure medication. And so I had a blood pressure checker thing that I had got whenever they told me to. I had to keep a log of my blood pressure before they gave me the medicine to see what it was consistently. And so I had this, and so I just started checking it. And then I was also getting a little bit dizzy, and that's like a sign that your blood pressure is actually going a little too low. So I was like, maybe, so I just like kind of stopped taking it. I didn't go back to the doctor. I just quit taking it. But then I would check my blood pressure, periodically, like 2 to 3 times, throughout the day. And my blood pressure was awesome. Like it was great. And this was very consistent, very consistent. And so I just have never got back on the blood pressure medication. And I also don't have migraines. And every once in a while, I'll just check my blood pressure just to see. And it's still really great. And so I was able to get off my blood pressure medication.
So,
And
so just to, sorry to jump in, but
yeah.
just to kind of get a timeline of where we are at the moment, and what is your consistency at this point? Once you can give up the blood pressure meds, what's your
Mm-hmm.
consistency at this point with carnivore, or do you attribute that simply to the weight loss?
Um, so definitely carnivore, but also weight loss. Um, my inflammation, like, extremely decreases when I eat carnivore. They've diagnosed me with fibromyalgia and some other things. And it, like, my pain sometimes would get so bad. I would be up like all night. My kids, my family would be asleep. I'd be up all night, and like the pain, I can't even explain it because it's like it's really weird. The only way I know how to explain it is it's like there's like spark plugs throughout my whole body, and they're being sparked. And like it got so bad, like to where I mean I would just cry out to God because I didn't know what else to do. And like there would be some times where I'm like, man, I've got like maybe I need to go to some place or a facility or something, because it would make me crazy, because then I would be up all night and then I wouldn't sleep, and then I'd be up all day, and I have little kids. And so weight, but also carnivore, because whenever I eat carnivore, my inflammation almost, like, I mean, there's still some there because I'm not healthy overall yet. Like I haven't done this consistently enough, but whenever I do, it's almost immediate. Like you're asking about my consistency. I was consistent again for a while, but literally Thursday, we got asked to go to out of town with some friends, and I wasn't prepared, and I ate off plan on Thursday. And then I got home, and Friday I ate good most of the day, and then I went with a friend out of town again that evening and ate off plan. And literally Saturday, I felt so bad. Like I was in bed. Every time this happens, my face will get beet red when I get off and I eat anything that's not carnivore. Like it gets so red, and my husband will be like, "Oh, your face is so red." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, I can feel it." And then I just feel so bad. Like it's like so painful, and I have like zero energy. Um, and so that was Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday I started to get back on plan. Um, and then Sunday was completely on plan. And today I feel like night and day different than what I did. It's complete difference. My husband notices it. Like I've had so much energy today. I'm happy. Um, and I don't have tons of inflammation that I just had literally for being off of it. for Thursday and Friday. And then Saturday was kind of a not 100%. And honestly, I'm not 100% on when I'm 100% because I still do drink diet soda. That's something that is, it's part of an addiction, and it's also part of my mental thing. So it's like everything inside of me screams, in my brain screams, like if I think that I'm not having something, that then I'm like rebelling. Like I rebel against it and I'm like, I'm having the thing. And that's just how it is in my brain. It's been that way for a long time. And so I still do drink diet soda. But I eat meat and eggs. Every once in a while I'll have like heavy whipping cream or a little bit of cheese. So I think the blood pressure medication, to get back to your question, definitely weight loss, but the only reason why I had that weight loss was because of, well, water weight, but also because of inflammation. And it, once that inflammation decreased, like I think my blood pressure just regulated. I think just the pain, like your blood pressure can raise because you're in pain. And I was in pain a lot. And yeah. So anyway, I got off that. And then about right before Thanksgiving, like a couple weeks before Thanksgiving, I decided, okay, I will stop taking my sleeping medicine. And because my goal is to not be on any medication, like I don't want to be on medication. I want to be healthy. And so I got off the sleeping medication. And then the week before Thanksgiving, I decided, okay, I'm being like the most consistent I've ever been at anything with eating and health with carnivore. And so I think that I can do this. I think that I can get off my depression medication and continue to make the choices that I need to make to be healthy. And so I prayed about it. I talked to my husband about it. And, we both agreed that I could give it a shot. And with knowing that I can always start my depression medication back up if I need to. And so the week before Thanksgiving, I started kind of, I took 2 every day, every night. So I would take 1 every night. And then it kind of was like I took 1 every other night for a few days after that. So a few days, I bumped it down to 1. And then for the next few days, I did 1 every other. And then I decided, okay, I'm not even going to pack my medication. I'm leaving for Thanksgiving with family, and I'm going to do it. And so I did. I didn't take my medication with me, and I haven't taken any depression medication since right before Thanksgiving. And
Wow.
yeah. And
And how
so
are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Hormones affect me, like when I'm on my cycle. And I noticed that, my mood will shift and it can go down, and that's a little different than, you know, sadness is different than depression. Um, and so I told my husband that if he noticed, because sometimes it's harder for me to notice if like I'm really struggling as bad. Like I notice when I'm really down there, but the time before that, I don't notice it, the leading up to being really bad. And so I told him, if he notices anything, if anything's off, like I want him to tell me, and that like I will go and get back on my medication. And I also told a couple close friends that I stopped taking it, and that if they noticed any differences, they noticed I was like starting to go more down and down, that they could tell me and that I could go get back on my medication. And so far, I'm stable. I'm not saying that I'm maybe like on cloud 9 or whatever all the time or anything like that, but I don't just have days where I am in my room on my bed, um, trying my best to be a mom, but then like escaping to my room and staying there. And then if I have to, going back out there and doing the things I have to do. I haven't done any of that. And so, yeah, I'm off all my medications, And I'm still like, I've been at the same weight. I lost like, the little over 15 pounds or whatever. And I've been at the same weight the whole time since I lost it. I lost it pretty early on, the first couple weeks that I did it. And then I've just been stable. But like I said, I haven't been consistent either. I've been on and off, on and off. This last time, though, on Thursday and Friday when I went off and I really felt how I felt, I I mean, I can say this now and maybe, later I'll cave again and I'll learn the lesson again. But I'm really, I noticed a massive difference and I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel so bad like I do. And so I'm really hoping that I can continue to do this. And I mean, I know I can. I know I can continue. I just want to do it more consistently than I have been.
Mm. Well, I mean, let me just say, I really respect that. Like, how can I put this best? That you're going at it, and even if you're falling off the wagon, you're still getting back on and you're doing it again. Because the the falling off the wagon part is the difficult part for people, right? The fall of the wagon, and then it's almost like the addiction becomes stronger. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I have been there myself, like you kind of spiral down further than you were before often when you fall off the wagon. So I really respect the fact that you're kind of getting back on. And, from my personal experience as well, I would say the thing to keep in mind, the positive part of it is the more you do get back on the wagon, the less likely it is you're going to revert. And like you say,
Yeah,
that might happen, but it's gonna be like the feeling of you need to go there, you need to go back, it's gonna be less and less each time.
that's what I
So,
was
I mean,
thinking
hmm,
because this last time that I did get off, it was like 2 to 3 days max.
hmm,
And, before when I would try things, when I would try to like, oh, so whenever I was pregnant with my last child and even before, but my last child, I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes. And uh, my sugars have always been an issue, but I was never like, I was always on the line. But then when I was pregnant, I had gestational diabetes and I didn't want to take insulin pregnant. So I managed that with diet. And I went to a like a diabetic nurse because they send you there. And she told me, like, she gave me this meal plan and she told me to eat this to keep my sugars down. And like, it was like brown rice, like, whole wheat bread. And I'm not just saying those were the only things, but like, she wanted me to be having like, let's just say eggs and toast for breakfast and, some vegetables, lots of vegetables, which actually have lots of carbs. I understand they are simple carbs, I guess, or complex. I don't know now. But anyway, they're the complex carbs. But anyway, I could not do that because I had to check my blood sugar every time I would like, I had to check it 4 times a day. And like an hour after I would eat or whatever. And if I tried to eat what they wanted me to eat, my blood sugars were through the roof. Like I would have had to take insulin. And so I was just like, I went in and I was like, I cannot eat that. I can't eat that. I have to basically eat meat. Like I have to pretty much cut out carbs. I cannot eat them. And she was like, well, that's not healthy. We don't want you to do that. You can do this. Like, and so I just kind of agreed with her. But then I just did my own thing because I was literally checking my sugars 4 times a day. So I knew what the food was doing. And yeah, so um, I went through a thing where I was doing really low carb. And so I knew that like it did something to your sugars. Um, and so, you know, it only made sense when I was hearing about it, when I was researching and hearing the things. It clicked because of that. Um, it was a little hard to be like, oh, don't eat any vegetables, if I'm being honest. But I understood definitely don't eat bread. of any sort. Don't eat grains. Don't eat any of that. Um, and so anyway, I think maybe just seeing certain things with my sugars and everything really led me to realizing that low carb is for sure a thing. It for sure helps with that. And so um, I don't even know where I was going with that, but
Well, so let me just say, I mean, like, this is what we're up against, right? When a dietitian is telling you that meat is bad for you, but this loaf of whole wheat bread is going to work wonders, you know?
yeah, the only meat she was like, I want you to eat, like chicken, lean meat. I want you to eat chicken and rice and vegetables for dinner and toast and some eggs for breakfast and some berries for sure, some berries and all these things. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I eat berries, even if I eat any of the grains, my blood sugar is way off. And I am not like, if I can, I know that if I eat these, if I eat meat, my blood sugar doesn't go crazy like that. And so I just didn't listen to them. And I just did that because I didn't want to take insulin during my pregnancy.
Like, just to summarize, you're taking no meds right now.
Yeah, for the first time in a very long time. Because even before my blood pressure, I took on, like, for years, I've taken on and off depression medication, anxiety medication. Um, and I've been to counseling a lot. And uh, I would try to get off medication and not take it. And then my depression would just like go so bad in the other direction. And this last time I finally accepted that I was just going to have to take depression medication the rest of my life. Like this last time, before I would always stop because I'm like, oh, it's not working that well. Why do I want to put this in my body if it's not working that awesomely? Um, but then I have a family, a husband, and I have 3 children, and I could not be honestly, the person I was supposed to be. I couldn't be the mom that I wanted to be, the wife, the friend, just the person in general that God created me to be. And so I finally got to a point where I said, okay, I will take this depression medication and I'll just have to take it the rest of my life. And I really believed that. I thought finally I was at that point. And so the depression medication is a really big deal to me because I thought that that was kind of my reality until I go to heaven. And so, yeah, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty excited that I don't have to have any medication. And I'm pretty happy that I know what to do. I know what to eat if I want to be the best version of myself every day. And
Yeah.
sometimes, because of addiction and other things, I might not choose that best thing. But I do know what the best thing is. And I have hope that knowing and experiencing the difference will then lead to, a longer time. I don't know. Right now, I can't imagine being like any of you guys that have done this for years. I can't imagine it almost. I can't imagine just drinking water for years either, to be honest. But I do know that maybe it's possible. And I do know that I really want to show love to other people. And to do that, I have to be the best I can for myself. And hopefully one day I'll be able to help people like you guys help people.
I think you've touched on something that's important to think about here, and that's that um, one of the reasons that I'm doing these interviews is because I want to have a broad kind of swath of people coming on that have experience with carnivore, so that it can show others that I can do it too. Um,
If I
so
get
the
there, I'm telling you,
the
if I
re-
get there, people better believe it can happen. I'm just saying.
so like, yeah, the thing is, like you're saying, you can't imagine being like other people that have been doing
Like
carnivore
Kelly
for
Hogan,
longer, or
for
just,
example.
yeah. But I would say don't try and imagine that. I would say, knowing my personality anyway, don't try and imagine that, because what will happen is you get into that mindset of it can't happen to me,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I honestly, what I would be doing is kind of thinking, this works for everyone to whatever degree. It doesn't matter. It works for everyone,
Right.
and I'm just going to focus on getting through today,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to get to bed today, kind of not gonna not gonna cheat. I'm gonna do my best not to cheat, and I'm just gonna get to bed today knowing that I haven't cheated. And then when you wake up the next day, you've got so much more resolve because you realize, oh, I got through yesterday, didn't do anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so your resolve is stronger, and then you just focus on, okay, now I've got to, what day are we today? What day is it's
It depends
Monday
for
for you, right?
it's
Monday for
Monday,
you,
yeah.
right? So you're gonna go to bed Monday, and then you wake up Tuesday. It's great. Okay, so now I'm just going to get through Tuesday. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just, if you go day by day, and before long, you're not thinking about that anymore. And so, um I would, your story is a kind of example of why I want to do this, because your story resonates with you know so many people. I've been there
Mm-hmm.
myself. So many other people are there too, where it's like, I want to do this, but it just fell off the wagon. It's all right, just get back on.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that I'm finally there mentally. Well, because
Mhm.
I think I have the right thing now. Before I've tried that in other ways and it didn't work because I wasn't eating what I was supposed to be eating, but now I am. Like meat is healing and it's like filling and it's all the things that you need. And so it's like now I actually can do that. I actually can get back on and do the thing because it works. Like today I had a ribeye. I called my husband. He was doing something for work, and I was like, "Please stop and get me a steak." And because, like I said, yesterday was my first like back to day good, and it was so good. Like I ate the whole thing. It was delicious, and I felt so good. Like I felt so good after it all day. And so I think that the reason why maybe people are scared to try or are scared to do something because they think, oh, I failed so many times. Number one, it's because they were trying to do things that are not possible. You can't, like, it wasn't sustainable because they didn't have a lot of protein in their life or fat. Like, it was just, and so anyway, that's one thing I feel like I've also noticed is I think the reason why is because I can get on here and I can eat a ribeye today and feel so good and not be like, oh, I barely ate any food today, or oh, I didn't eat this and so I'm really hungry. You know, I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah. Definitely. Like, there's nothing better than just being able to eat and then forget about it and not think about eating again.
yeah,
It's
until,
such
you're
an
hungry and
empowering
then,
thing. Yeah.
yeah. Um,
Such an empowering thing, not thinking, okay, so what's the next snack? Okay, I'm gonna have a chocolate bar
yes.
here, and then I'll be having to think about the next snack after that. And
That was me
yeah,
all the time. I was always thinking about what I was going to have for the next food item that I ate. Even like we would try to plan out meals sometimes to be healthy. I was like, oh, we just need to like plan meals out so that way I won't eat out. I won't eat, eat fast food or whatever. And we'll just plan the things out. But then it was like when I wasn't full from those things, then it's just like, well, what am I going to eat in the meantime? And it was just always that. If you're using all your energy and all your brain, that's taking up so much of it. And then you have life. And so I think that is a big difference. One other thing, just real quick, I wanted to point out is like you said earlier, to really, to be careful not to compare, to other people in reality, just like take it one day at a time for yourself. And I think that's true. Like, I think when I watch videos, one, I get encouragement. And two, they have ways of cooking food. So, and maybe I haven't had that food, or, you know, I get ideas or whatever. And one of the things that, if you watch a lot of carnivore videos, is you'll hear different things. And one of those things, for example, is fasting. And I think maybe that for even me, maybe later, maybe that's going to be a good thing. But I think because of my mental, where I'm at mentally with eating, and then also just my trauma, um, fasting is not a thing for me. I tried and it was so bad. um, and so, you know, maybe one day I'll be in a better place and I'll be able to try that again. But I guess what I'm saying is, like, if you watch all these videos and you hear all these things and you see these people that have been doing this for years and they look so good and they're like, and I fast, you know, I fasted, I gave a 3 day water fast, or, you know, whatever it is, like, and if you try that and like you can't do that, that's okay. And like, don't give up, because that just means that you're just different. You're at a different place, and you have a different relationship with food possibility. You have trauma from your background with food, whatever it is. And so anyway, I'm not bashing fasting, because I think that it can be very beneficial in some ways for a lot of people. And then also, like, you know, fasting is also a part of religion. And I'm not bashing that in any way. I'm just saying that you don't have to do the things that all the awesome carnivores say that they do
Mm.
to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, I would second that. I would say at the start, the most important thing is getting over the addiction. And the way you get over the addiction, I was speaking with someone about this yesterday. The way you get over the addiction is feasting, not fasting,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you get to you put yourself in a position where you're eating as much as you can whenever you can of the right stuff, so you don't get hungry, and therefore, you know, the addiction is less likely to take hold of you. And you
Yeah.
can worry about the fasting later once
Yeah.
the addiction's gone.
I'll check back in when I'm there one day. We'll see. I'll check back in with you and be like, hey, I'm actually doing it.
Yeah. So, speaking of accountability, did you want to plug your YouTube channel?
It's
Where can we
so
find you?
tiny, and I haven't done videos because I felt so bad for not staying consistent, but I might get back on there. But my YouTube channel is just Felicia Freedom. Um, so I created it. Honestly, I created it with the name Freedom because I have God has given me freedom in so many areas of my life. This one area of health and food, I have felt that I would never be free of. I have felt that I would be just a slave to my bad health because of my choices that I was making. I wasn't able to be disciplined enough to make the good choices, to be better for myself and for others. And that's plagued me for years. And so, in working with God with freedom in other areas of my life, I finally am at a point, um, because of God, but also because of carnivore, that I am finding freedom in my health and in my eating. And, you know, freedom sometimes isn't just this one time thing. You know, sometimes we're so used to being chained to something, and it becomes so part of our norm and comfortable into our life that we can go back and retreat into that. But for the first time, I can see that I don't have to be that, and that I can get into this area of freedom. And so anyway, it's just my journey of freedom, and especially in my health. And I just hope that one day I can help other people if they're struggling in their freedom. So
Nicely said. Felicia, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey with us. I really appreciate it.
thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate you.